you did the heart last time, maybe you could do the lungs this time. I said, well, okay, so we're gonna do the lungs. Today's going just for you. All right, so I was gonna have several Bible verses, but I kept on thinking of things to say, so I don't think we can do all of them. So I want somebody to look up Job 33:4. And then we'll take one from the New Testament, Acts 17:25. So, last time we talked about how God made man, that he formed him in the earth, and that he bent down, and what did he do? He blew in his mouth and expanded his lungs and made him a living soul. So that's when he started breathing, okay? So, I thought I'd just talk about a little bit about the lungs and what they do for us. So, the lungs, right here, you breathe in and out. You have kind of like a fibrous or a barrier right here called the diaphragm. And so the lungs stay on top of that, and the heart is right between there. So the heart goes about right there, right in front of the lungs. And the lungs do a couple of things. First of all, it extracts oxygen from the air, and oxygen is like energy to the body. So what happens is that we breathe it in, and then we have like sinuses. You have your nose, and you have all these sinuses that are open areas. And so the nose and the cavities, they warm the air. Okay, and the body moistens the air, and then it moves down into the lungs. So what happens is that in your nose and going down your respiratory system, you have these little hairs called cilia, okay, and they're always moving like this, okay, and that helps. That's one of the mechanisms that the body uses to kind of clean the air. So the air goes in, and it's got all these impurities in it, especially nowadays. And so the cilia starts backing out all that dirty stuff. Now, if it doesn't catch it, then it has mucus, okay? Some mucus, and that's just another word for stop. And so that traps it, okay? So when it gets down, gets all down, and so you got it right here, you got your larynx, which is right here. That's your voice box, okay? So that's how, and then it goes down to the trachea. Now, you have two lungs. You have the right and the left. And then you see how this right here, see how that kind of looks like a tree? Okay, and they call that the bronchial tree. And so then it branches off into these little areas right here, and then they go into tinier areas. And these little round things right here are called alveoli. And what they do is that they're like little air pockets. Okay? They're kind of like this, but smaller. And you see they all have little air in them. And so what we do is we absorb and we breathe in the oxygen. And you remember when I told you last time how the heart has the blood and it circulates around and it goes into the lungs and drops off all the old air, the old air, and then the little pockets right there exchange it, and they put the oxygen, the fresh oxygen in, and then it releases it back into the blood, and it goes back to the heart, and then the heart circulates it around. So everything is kind of like a circle. Everything just circles and cleans, and the kidneys do that too. It circles out old impurities, and we get rid of it another way. But it's funny though, God never wastes anything. So we breathe in oxygen that's made from the plants, and then we breathe out carbon dioxide, and that the plants use. Also, the carbon dioxide kind of holds the heat from the sun down. It kind of actually gives us a little greenhouse effect. The only problem is, though, is that when we have so much things going on in the world and too many factors and stuff, we get too much carbon dioxide. So that's bad. So if we can get Job 33:4, who looked that up?
The Spirit of God has made me, and the breath of the Almighty gives me life.
Okay, so we see everything. God gives us our breath. We couldn't do it without it. We couldn't breathe. Okay, okay? So there was some instances, you know, you can, under hardship, do without a lung. Years ago, we used to have what you call polio, and they totally paralyzed the lungs, and they'd have to go into this machine called the iron lung, and it breathed for them. And now, if your lungs don't work, then you go in the hospital and they put you on a ventilator, okay? And then the lungs also, you know, we have two of them, but if something happens to it, you can actually take out a lung, and you could live with just one lung, or they can take part of the lung out. In my floor, sometimes, you know, you have damage or you have cancer or something, and then we'll take out the lung. And on my floor, that's who I get to take care of, people that we remove the lungs, or anything. We remove everything on my floor. So, it's wonderful. And then, like, some of the things that can hurt the lungs is like smoking. Smoking is bad for the lungs, but what it does, all them little hairs, for one thing, it deadens them. It makes them flat. They don't move. So, all the dirty stuff just gets right down in the lungs. And so, smokers, you know how they'll have that cough, or that smoking cough. So that's what it does. They'll go to sleep. The lungs, the little hair try to wake back up, but in the morning, see, they're coughing, and then, of course, what do people do? They light up another cigarette and deaden them more hairs again. So the lungs can put up with a lot of damage before they get really bad. So who's got